everybody, back again with Simon from Cooper Strip Club, and today we're stripping this metal chest. This is lent to me by Murray. Thank you, Murray. People seem to like lending me things to strip. It's good. I'm always looking for new candidates. Okay, so I've had the stripper on this for probably 5-10 minutes, something in that range, and I'll show you on the front what I was doing. It's a gooey mess. So, can you see that all right? Yep. So here's the stripper, here's the pink stuff that we're going to strip. So we're just putting on a light puff of the good stuff, of the stripper. You can see pretty quickly how quick it absorbs in. A lot of people are always quite amazed how fast it absorbs. And that's why we make the stripper thin. A thin stripper will absorb in way faster than any gel will. I'm going to do this side here as well. Now you may have seen other videos where we've done things with steel. This has got a little bit of a twist today, so hang in there. Okay. Now on the front where we just put it on, our guide says always to, I'll keep out of the sun. This case. Guide, which I'll find soon, it says to keep the surface wet with the stripper. So as it absorbs in, it needs to be fed to keep it wet. And then we need to let it dwell. Isn't that a cool word? Sometimes you'll read about dwell time. Okay, so we want to see what we're going to do here. It's a bit of a mess, so you always work out as you go what you're going to do. That doesn't look too efficient, so I might move on to our flush. So I want to get off the surface what we've actually stripped to see what we've actually got. So this blue liquid is our flusher, and it's a paraffin-based spirit. And we're just using this as we call this what we're doing here is a pre-rinse. We're really just finding out how far we've got, because we are probably going to go on with more stripper. But before we put the stripper on, let's get rid of all that goo that's there. Just give that away. Again, always lots of rags. So that's coming on quite well. So just a bit simpler than that. Scrubbing with our copper detail brush, which we'll show you shortly. It's a very soft bristle, so it's not going to rip the metal apart. I'm going to do a different finish on this today. I'm not going to be preparing it for a paint finish. I'm going to actually prepare it for leaving raw, which will be quite interesting to see. And real antique look. You often go into antique stores nowadays, sometimes you'll find a bit of an industrial section, and there'll be old filing cabinets and metal storage cabinets and these sort of things left as raw metal, and they look quite effective, I think. So, okay. Some people might go, "Ooh, that's all right as it is," but I think it can be better. So, back to that pre-rinse, which we do from time to time, is shown as the lay of the land. It's got rid of all the chaff. We've worked out where we're up to. And then we'll go back on with some more stripper. And let's just put that on. I'll out myself once more. Now, let's get rid of some of this. Okay, now, just leave that there for a minute. I want to show you, before we go further, the bit of brush cleaning. It's these type of projects where it's a brushing job, you tend to clog these beasts up, and so while that's nice and soft, what I often will do, and you can get yourself another bottle and even put in some meths, which will be cheaper than using your flusher, but give it a quick puff in the bristle, grab yourself a slab of wood, and it all just falls out. So you don't have to wreck your brushes. If you let it all dry in there, then it's a way bigger job to get them clean. And but you don't want to use the value of the brush in flusher. So as I said, a cheap solvent will be fine. Then also we have a wire brush. This is a typical hardware shop wire brush. You can then, if you want, just lightly comb the brush through it. And that will keep it good. So that is a little tip for you. Now, I'm using my real mashed up one over here. So we're just going to go to the part we started on. If you're using a coarse brush here, you would just be ripping into the steel, and then the cunning plan I have for it wouldn't be able to be done. And then we move across onto the pre-rinse. This used to be something we did all the time, but we found that it's really only used for these types of projects. Usually only flush at the end stage. Now the reason we use a paraffin based spirit is, one, it's nice low odour, but also it stays wet way longer than a normal solvent. If you're using meths or thinners, your typical lacquer thinners, it really stinks. Get as high as a kite on the stuff, and you can't work in the same room as it. And meths is just dries way too fast, and you don't have any real scrubbing time before it's dry. With the paraffin based rinse and the flush, it gives you extra work time. Okay, and like playtime for the kindy kids. And again, we'll put some, just turn this in half, I can see that. So you can see that on the top of the cabinet, or the chest, where it's busy working away, so you can be working at different parts of it, and so you can be just continuing to work. This is interesting stuff in there, whatever that is. And just make sure it stays wet. And I'll just do a little test. It's quite happy, but we'll just get the front built too. So the more built time on this, the better. And again, twist that around. So I'm wearing these rubber gloves, not the kitchen ones. So it's not, the stripper itself is pretty close to being pH neutral. So it's not an aggressive stripper. If you buy your typical gel type ones, if you get it on your skin, it'll take your skin off as well. This won't. You do need to take care. I mean, it's got a job to do. But it's not harsh. When I made it originally, I had actually personally suffered major chemical burns from normal products, so I was very mindful of not wanting something to do the same. Green colours coming out underneath, wherever they are. So once more, if you guys have got any projects you're interested in seeing it on, we had a guy, Derek, the other day, who was interested in seeing trim timbers polished up to higher amounts, so we were able to bring that into a live stream we did, and that's sort of what we're after. This is effectively a show we're putting on for you, so tell us what you want to see it on. If you have people in your world that you think might benefit from this, then if you can share it with them, that's always cool. And we do supply our products worldwide, so you don't have to think that we're not available anywhere, because we are. We all do it online around the world. I'll show you the website in a moment. Another rag. So the whole system's about liquefying the old finish, dissolving it if you would, and then rinsing it clean. And when you work, not damaging the surface that you're stripping. And then again, zapping on some more stripper. So a person could get this chest and probably inside an hour get the whole thing done. Which is pretty good going, I think. Now, before we go further on this, I'm just going to dig out my brochure. I should have had it ready, but you know, that's the joys of live stream. Yep, put one here. Some glue on it. So you may have already seen this, but the same system used here. So what I've done here is I've got stripping what's on the surface. So we've put the stripper on, we've weighted, we've kept it wet with stripper, that says that in the red writing, and then I've removed the softened finish. But then I've skipped number 2 and jumped to number 3, where I've done the flushing, the surface clean. So I sprayed on the flusher, I scrubbed with the brush, I've then sprayed and wiped, and then what I've done is I've said, oh, there's more stuff there, so I've gone back up, but to part 1 or 2, whatever you want to do. So it really is sort of the same. So there's a slight modification to this to the normal ways we do it, but it's still working an interpretation of the guide. So we'll put that aside. Get my brush from before, and we'll again give that a using it straight away, I don't have to make it perfect, but you don't have to trash your brushes with the first scrub. They'll keep going. The trick with these brushes too is you're using the tips. You're not trying to, when I bend the brush, I'm not actually getting the tip of the brush working, and it is going to wreck my brush. You want just light scrubbing so that the actual bristle does the work. And these bristles are sloped forwards, so that, if that can be seen, is that all right down there, I think? Is that better there? They're sloped forward, so it does like a pushing action. So, let's now put it into action, and probably an apron on this one might have been better, but it means I'd have to get an apron, wouldn't it? Now again, the soft copper bristle is going around these rivet. Try not to spray that on after. Doing hazard pay. He's keeping a straight face, so he's focused. So this is all nicer to work with now, it's all nice and mushy. And this time we may be able to just wipe. It's also less gummy than the first round. And then we'll give that a rinse, and actually might get a new one. It's good to have a few brushes so you can move around them, and at this point I'm wanting to get rid of residues, not spread them around. A little bit of paint left on that one there I'll have to deal with yet.
We have a question, Dad.
Cool, cool.
Linda Blake. She says, wow, after the chest is all cleaned up, will it oxidize rust on the surface if you leave it, or will you rub something else onto it?
That's the last part. We're going to actually moisturize this. Because, yep, if this is steel, it will definitely rust. There was rust on this before we started on here, but it appears to have all gone. So showing my test patch. Arthur revealed my test patch. You see, apparently a barrister never asks a question it doesn't know an answer to. And I don't like to strip anything that I don't know what I'm going to get. We do lots and lots and lots of home demos. I suppose that's where it always is the wild card. Now, let's get a clean rag. There's still a little bit of residue there. It's hard on. I want to get off there. I'll just go one more light round. The rivets had a little bit of that stuff lurking on there. Now what I've done is I've sucked air into the trigger. So let's see, I've twisted around the bottle so they get the little end going right. And sometimes you'll just undo this is wasteful what I'm going to show you. Take the tip off, give it a couple of puffs, and put the trigger back on, the tip on, and then wham, off she goes again. So it's quite good to spray it back into a tin to use it. But I think that was worth showing you that. Just leave that a couple of minutes and we'll deal with the stuff on the side. This is the great thing about you can be just working backwards and forwards. Now, little mountain continues to grow. Now a quick health and safety thing, we get quite a lot of questions on this sort of thing. Most of the stripper that I've sprayed is actually in there. So if I leave this here for the day, of course it's going to slowly evaporate out into the room, which is not the smartest idea. You're better to get it outside. So what I quite often do is, in the real job, as I'm working and letting it work, so I would scoop that into a container with a lid on and keep it all under control, get it outside. And so the vast majority of what you're actually putting on is going in there and going outside, and the stuff that's in the air, you just use a fan to keep the room ventilated. If you want, you can wear a charcoal face mask, but that's up to you. But the vast majority of the stripper ends up in the paint, and if you extract that out of the room as you go, or move it out of the room as you go, then you're all good to go. Keep going. Okay. Thanks for the question too, Linda. So, now some of this industrial stuff I was talking about before, the filing cabinets and things, you see them and they've got like a lacquer that's been put onto them. But once more, the lifespan of those sort of things isn't that great because the lacquer breaks down, it's metal, it gets condensation and all these sort of things, and then the finishes start coming apart. I'm going to show you the moisturizer, which is a way simpler system and able to keep it maintained. Just do I think this will be the final strip. The good thing about this project is it's showing you that you can go backwards and forwards. It makes it heaps easier to work with. At this point now you can see exactly where you're up to. And we've got the front. Getting close as well. Not sure what that is.
You have another message?
Yep.
From Linda Blake again.
Yep.
I love how the underneath comes up with all its dings and dongs, or dings and stuff. No rough sanding that wreaks havoc on the surface. Nice product, easy to use by the lips.
It certainly is. And this is as real as it gets, where other than me doing a test last night, I have no idea totally what to expect. The idea of the system is not to damage the patina. These pieces you can have, there are blasting systems, etc., and they can cause problems to the surface, but it loses some of its character, which is, we're about maintaining that character. So, good observation. When people are using our products, and what we've been finding lately is we've got, like in New Zealand, we have well over 100,000 houses like fully restored with Coopers, like doors, windows, all those sort of things. And then there's many hundreds of thousands more furniture projects and things. We have been around nearly, or cruising on towards 40 years now. So there's a lot of people using it out there, and it's good having people pop up with their experiences, but also if you're using it and you've got questions, and these live streams have been generating quite a lot of that. Good. So what I do here, what I do there, and all that sort of stuff, which is great. Now, you'll see on different projects, like the other week we did a small miniaturized Jeep, metal one, and that was very popular and that was really cool. The paint on that was thinner than this, so it went through a lot faster. This one it doesn't look like it's a lot of paint, but it's got more paint than it first looks, but that's alright, it just takes a little longer to get through. So it's as I said, probably inside an hour I'll do the whole chest all around. Which if you pick this up from a garage sale on a Saturday morning, it would be all finished by lunchtime. So these, I've been dying to say it all morning, but these nipply looking things will get me banned out. They say until you've been banned, you haven't tried enough. We are the strip club anyway. I'll get told off for that matter, all my boys. So this is ready now for the proper flush. So we to date what we've been doing is pre-flushing, getting rid of all the mountains of goo. This time we're doing the flush sort of how it's intended on the guide, where we're getting rid of all the residues. And just little bits of you can get little picks and things. I've got them in my bag, but and this is where if you want to you can just put a little bit of stripper back on those parts, but it's up to you. Okay. Now, I want to show you a trick of the trade all that stuff. There is rust on this surface, and it's one of the reasons I was keen to do it. And there are lots and lots of rust products on the market, which we don't say for a second our system, the stripping system gets rid of rust, it exposes rust. So it takes everything off and you find what rust is there. And then you choose what sort of treatment you use to do with it. One day I was researching rust treatments, and I found out that the vast majority of the rust treatments out there are based on phosphoric acid. Very small amounts of it actually, just a few percent. But I also discovered that oxalic acid is used as much in rust treatment as phosphoric acid is. And I thought, well, that's interesting, because our grain enhancer is based on oxalic acid. So I then started doing a few experiments and found that our grain enhancer is really good for getting rid of rust. So, I thought I'll show you. So I might just do that down here where it's a little bit cleaner. So I've shown this before on treatments from timber, which is why we have the name grain enhancer. So one day if you see the word grain removed and it's just enhancer, it's because we are now using this quite a lot on metal. Now we normally put a couple of dessert spoons in, so it's quite a scientific measuring system. And then into it we put boiling water, straight out of the jug, okay? Now you don't fill up this here, you put like a cup of boiling water in there. And it dissolves pretty much instantly. And this one we brush onto the surface. I usually use a paintbrush, but I actually forgot to bring a paintbrush out, so I'll use a copper brush. Now this will basically, you can use this on brass fittings if you've got like a candlestick or something like that and it's got some corrosion on it. This will deal with that sort of thing. Now this is actually quite high concentrations, but rather than, you saw me put it in, there's no 1 or 2% in this. I always wonder why those products take so long to work. Now this is pretty cool. Move this over here. So I normally would brush this on with a bristled brush. So this obviously is not holding the liquid like a proper hog hair brush. But it'll do the job anyway. This is the bit this is really the treat of it. And you see the colour becomes quite sort of that antique-y metal-y look. It changes quite extensively. And we normally put this on for like a good 5 minutes and giving it a good scrub as we go. Now I don't want to use my grip pads or steel wools or anything like that. They will just scratch the surface. Like I say, in this particular case, I'm not choosing to paint. Mary might decide he wants to. But I think he might quite like this. Okay. So this is killing the corrosion in exactly the same way as phosphoric acid would. So it's not saying it's gonna, it's like a weed killer, it doesn't mean the weeds aren't gonna come back. So you've left that on for longer, you've given it some good time to do its thing, but for us for today, what we're going to do is just going to wipe that away. We're going to then give it a rinse. And then we flush some more dragons. It's been quite a rag-thirsty project. Okay, now we get some flush. So the grain enhancer has basically now got water. It's got water in it, as you saw. So we want to basically get rid of the water, the crystal that is in the water. If you do choose to use some sort of lacquer on it, then you will need to make sure it has a good day to dry. I'm going to show you our moisturizer so we can go straight on with that. So I do know that there's the odd little bit of paint under the little rivety things, and you can choose to leave them or take them out with the extra stripper. Now, so looks good and dry. So at this point, I'm going to use my wood finish on it, and I like this. It just works so well with this metal look. And so here's moisturizer. If this is the first time you've seen it, here it is. This is, we usually say it's like skin care, leather care for wood. but in this case we're working with metal. It's a blend of gum, oil and wax, all synthetic, and it doesn't dry. Now, metal actually is absorbent. It's not a... the moisturiser is going to absorb into this surface just a little bit. Not like wood, of course, or leather, but it will, if you let this completely dry off that blusher, came back tomorrow, it will look quite different to what it did now. Now, when you do moisturising, you don't have to wait until all the flusher has evaporated. You can just rip straight into the putting the moisturiser on, because the flusher is completely compatible with the moisturiser, which is good. Okay. Now, so on that goes, and you leave that on for a couple of days. Just had a knock on our door. They can wait. Okay. So leave this on as long as you want, as you can. The more that gets into the metal, the better. We're just going to pretend we've been here for a couple of days, and we're going to buff this off. I'll find myself another cloth. And buff that off. I will finish this off after the live stream, but you've seen the whole gist of it. All these live streams end up on our website, and so if you want to go to them, and we'll put there the finished photograph with it, so you get to see all that. So you won't have to wonder what it looked like. And okay. So I hope you like this. If you decide you don't want to moisturise it, or you don't want metal, you want to paint it, then that's fine. Don't moisturise it. Don't grain enhance it. Sounds weird talking about grain enhancing this now, doesn't it? And you just go straight on after the flushing with your paint. Personally, on these types of items, I think they look cool. I first saw them down in a place called Greytown at some of these cool antique shops I got there, and I sort of thought, wow, this whole industrial look is really cool. So this is a chest that was just used as for storage, that this could actually now take pride and place in the lounge or somewhere. Now, website, I haven't actually said that yet, coopersstripclub.com. It's got heaps of things there. It shows all our products as well as all the different things you can use it on, and eventually this chest will be on there as well. So coopersstripclub.com. So we'll leave it at that for the day. I will get this now finished off camera. Thanks a lot, and we will see you same time tomorrow, and we'll find out what we've got to show you then. So I'm gone. Catch up. Have a good night or evening or day. See you tomorrow.